Answer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, and many more. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Yesterday, Governor Jay Bally's and Cardinal Blaise Cupich did a little bit of a ham and egg routine on the matter of federal immigration law enforcement. Pritzker toned down his ICE is a terrorist organization. They're all racist. They're targeting black and brown people just because they're black and brown. They're really responsible. Toned that down a little bit because he was at the Economic Club of Chicago. So he wanted to pretend that he's a middle ground guy and that, of course, Democrats don't support open borders, says a sanctuary state governor. Says a governor who presided over $2 billion in spend on illegal immigrants residing in Illinois. He said, we had a border problem. We don't anymore. Magically, it disappeared. Didn't provide much of an explanation in terms of his understanding of why we don't anymore. This is what he said.
But it starts with that anybody who's progressive is for open borders.
Well, some people are.
Well, I'll tell you that Democrats are not for open border. I mean, we had a real problem, and we needed to do something about the border. But now we need to do something about the people who work for you and work for other people who are here and law-abiding, doing the right thing, and they want to be good Americans. They want a path towards staying in this country, whether we call it citizenship or just legal residency. We need to give them that path, and we're not doing it today. And the Republicans have never proposed this under Donald Trump. He wants to do something about immigration. He should have come into office, and right away he had control of the House and the Senate. The presidency could have passed immigration reform.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's Trump's fault we don't have some reimagining of our immigration legal regime. Right, Trump's fault. After 4 years of effectively open borders, 4 years of that border problem, J.B. Pritzker referenced that now is not such a problem. Gosh, why is that, Governor? And when Democrats controlled the White House and Congress, they did what on the issue? And then comes Cardinal Blaise Cupich with this message to the faithful in the Arch.
My dear brothers and sisters, today I speak to you as your shepherd, but also as a fellow pilgrim who shares the pain of many of our immigrant communities. Families are being torn apart, children are left in fear, and communities are shaken by immigration raids and detentions. These actions wound the soul of our city. Let me be clear. The church stands with migrants. We stand with a mother who crosses borders to feed her children. We stand with a father who labors in silence to build a better future. We stand with the young person who dreams of safety and a better future. Our parishes and schools will not turn away those who seek comfort, and we will not be silent.
And Cardinal, follow-up, do you stand with the illegal immigrant from Venezuela charged with sexually attacking a woman during a Rogers Park home invasion, which constitutes his fifth arrest since June? Apparently, he had sexually abused another woman in Evanston about an hour before he sexually abused a woman in Rogers Park. Do you stand with him, too? Because I didn't hear any distinctions there between the violent and the nonviolent, the legal and the illegal. Sort of a leading indicator of that rhetorical style of the open borders proponent. For more on the topic and the impact of Operation Midway Blitz, please be joined by John McCormack, senior editor at The Dispatch. John, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me here.
So I read your piece on Operation Midway Blitz, and you heard what the governor and Cardinal Cupich had to say. So, sort of what's your outside assessment of what's happening in Chicago, and maybe as a proxy for what's happening in the larger national debate and cacophony, frankly?
Yeah, I mean, being on the ground, you'd probably have better sense than I do for my time on the ground. But, when the administration announced this, they said it was going to target the worst of the worst criminals. They wasn't sold as we're just going to go out and deport as many people as we can. So I reached out to DHS. I said, well, how many detainees are there? How many of them are criminals? They said, well, 1,500 detainees. Wouldn't give me an answer on how many actual criminals, aside from obviously crimes related to entering and staying in the country illegally. So that's one thing I found is that each of these incidents, there's so many videos flying around, and it's really hard to get the truth of it. There's claims, there's counterclaims, there's video clips, but you don't know what happened before or after. So it's really hard to kind of suss all that out. There are some instances where it's pretty clear, the administration has gotten some facts wrong. For example, there was a woman, there's a video of a woman being detained in Hoffman Estates. What appears to be a federal agent kneels on her back. She says she's 18. The administration put out a statement saying, this isn't even ICE. This is from a year ago, a burglary suspect. Well, in fact, Hoffman Estates police put out a statement confirming that was ICE activity in the area. The parents of the woman said she was 18. She got picked up for recording ICE. So, I found a lot of confusion on the ground in Chicago. What does this mean nationally? I don't know how many other cities are going to have these sort of stepped up campaigns. Obviously one big question looming over the city is whether Trump's going to invoke the Insurrection Act. I think that the more there are aggressive confrontations where you have activists, really are doing some bad things. Obviously, some activists have called on, people to block the cars of ICE. There have been incidents of ICE agents getting rammed, which is totally inexcusable, totally wrong. It's a very confused environment on the ground, but I'm sure you have a better sense of it than I do.
Well, the confusion is intentional because you take an anecdote and you say, well, this is what's happening writ large. This is everything that you have a governor saying that they're here to just terrorize. The cruelty is the point. And then, I agree with you, and I've said this several times on the show, including to the acting ICE director when he was on. Like we need there should be sort of a running description of everybody that's apprehended, just sort of on a constant roll on some dedicated website or on the ICE website. It is the information isn't coming out as fast as I would like to see it in terms of everybody who's been apprehended, but we do have the statements that have been made by Homan and the statistic that's bandied about that 70% of the people that have been apprehended by ICE nationally are either individuals with criminal convictions or criminal charges pending other than being here illegally, which, I assume that proportion probably holds up in Chicago and anywhere else ICE is. And remember, from the information that Anthony Gonzalez, the congressman, got during the Biden era, you were talking about a universe in this country of north of 600,000 people that fit that description. So it's a big job. And then the last thing I'll say is the point that Tom Home makes all the time, which is we'd prefer to do this at county jails rather than in the neighborhoods. But when you don't get cooperation with state and local officials, we're compelled to go out into the neighborhoods, and it's less safe for everybody.
Yeah, I think the sanctuary city and sanctuary state policies, in Illinois are totally fair game for criticism and have contributed to sort of the confrontational nature of the operation.
Right, so yeah, it's like kind of one of the, J.B. Pritzker is down the road talking or trying to resuscitate immigration reform. We can't even establish a baseline, here as to whether immigration law should be enforced against anybody, despite, some on again, off again paeans to, of course, people who are violent criminals should be removed from Illinois and from America generally, but that's not really how they behave when it comes right down to it.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I mean, and there's reasonable debates on, we're just going to be strict and enforce the law. Whether your only crime is here being illegal, you've been here for 20 years. Sorry, that's a serious moral argument. I just think it'd be better for the administration to make that than to say this is all about criminals. And then, so I said they wouldn't tell me how many of the 1,500 had criminal records. And you mentioned that statistic from Tom Homan.
Yeah.
But when they announced 1,000 detainees as of October 3rd, they only highlighted 10 with criminal records. Now, that's possible that obviously there's more than 10, that the 10 are the worst of the worst, and they're probably lower level offenses beyond those 10. But again, this administration that Congress just passed that huge budget for ICE. They've got the people, they should have this knowledge. And the fact that they're not conveying it, clearly, that, everything kind of seems to be going through this centralized process. I think, someone locally, like a local person, as a press person, kind of clearinghouse for all this stuff would be helpful, because, it's so hard when you have a video clip released, and you don't know the context behind it. You kind of go to DHS for what's the other side of the story here. And sometimes they provide true information. Sometimes they provided inaccurate information. So it'd be helpful if they could kind of really, get some clearinghouse, as you said, someone on the ground to help get the truth out there.
Yeah, right. But the flip side is they're in a very tough position. It's sort of like, back in the height of the BLM era, being a local cop in Chicago or another big city. It's like no matter what we do, we're going to be characterized as Pinochet death squads, because that's just the rhetorical position that this political set is taking. And that's clearly the case with respect to most of the power structure in Illinois, because they have to defend these sanctuary state and city policies and other policies that exacerbate the public safety problem here, like Pritzker's no cash bail, and the environment that it's created. And they don't want people focused on that. They want people focused on boogeymen that they invent, like federal law enforcement officers are just in general some sort of, mercenary squad that is disappearing people at Trump's behest, which is preposterous.
Yeah, no, I think some of the rhetoric's definitely been overblown, and obviously the activists are taking some aggressive stances. And it's also true that, the enforcement has been more aggressive than, for example, last week there was an incident where ICE agents used their vehicles to, they claim they were rammed first. The Chicago Tribune or was it the Sun-Times? I'm sorry now. The Tribune at the Times got the video, security video, didn't show the ICE agent getting rammed initially, but did show the ICE vehicle hitting the back corner of the illegal immigrants' vehicle and spinning it out of control. That's a maneuver that the Chicago police are banned from using. So, that resulted in 100 people out there. There's tear gas deployed. This was last Tuesday now, so I haven't seen any further updates on that. But so there are some. It is true. It is an aggressive approach to enforcement, and there obviously is aggressive and even criminal and illegal efforts to stop the enforcement by some activists.
John McCormack, senior editor at The Dispatch, his piece, Fear and Loathing in Chicago. John, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
These days, people who are in pain are taking control of their health and looking beyond traditional medicine. Dan Proft here from my friends at QC Kinetics. People just like you are finding lasting relief without steroids, medications, or surgery. Here